When 48-year-old Camille Thornton walked into the glass-encased entrance of the Lexington Grand Hotel in downtown Des Moines, Iowa, she didn't expect fanfare. She didn't want red carpets or welcome banners. All Camille desired was a key, a warm bed, and the quiet necessary to reset before a board meeting she hadn't initially planned to attend in person. She entered the hotel not with swagger, but with a steady calm, the kind of quiet power earned through decades of rising in a world that rarely offered handrails. Her soft loafers whispered over the marble floor. Her slate-gray slacks, crisply tailored, didn't cry out for attention. The dusty blue silk blouse she wore bore no logo, no embellishment. Her only bag, a worn leather duffel, hung from her shoulder. No assistant. No entourage. Camille looked like any guest, or perhaps someone trying to appear as one. Behind the front desk sat a young receptionist, lazily chewing a pen cap and tapping acrylic nails against the keyboard. She glanced up, offered the practiced smile of someone already preparing to say no. Checking in. Camille returned the smile. Yes. Thornton, Camille. The receptionist clacked a few keys, then paused. Her lips pressed together. I don't see a reservation under that name. There's a suite that should be held open for me. Ma'am, the receptionist said, her tone tightening. We're at full capacity tonight. Guests only. You'd need a confirmed booking to stay. Camille's expression didn't change, but the temperature in the room did. She glanced past the receptionist to the polished gold plaque on the wall. Lexington Grand Hotel. Thornton Holdings property. I'm a guest, she said gently. And more than that, I own this hotel. The receptionist blinked, stunned for a heartbeat. Then her lips twitched into a doubtful smirk. You own the Lexington Grand? Camille nodded. I'm going to call the manager. Please do. From the lounge, a couple in matching golf polos looked over. A man near the fireplace tilted his head. Camille could feel the tension swirling, the unspoken suggestion that someone wasn't telling the truth, and most assumed it wasn't her. Moments later, a man with a crooked tie and clipboard emerged. His badge read Assistant Manager Neil Carver. He offered Camille a bright but brittle smile. Good evening. Trouble with your reservation? She claims to own the hotel, the receptionist said, too loudly. Neil hesitated. I don't claim anything, Camille said. My name is Camille Thornton. You'll find it on every quarterly report and board memo. There should be a suite reserved under the owner's block. Neil adjusted his glasses. Right. Give me just a moment. He ducked into the back, murmuring into a walkie-talkie. Camille stayed where she was, composed. Then two hotel security guards appeared, not forcefully, but with clear intent. One near the elevators, one beside the coffee bar. Camille didn't flinch, but inside, something stirred, a quiet, familiar fire. Not because they didn't recognize her, but because they so easily assumed she didn't belong. She didn't pull out her ID, didn't show them ribbon-cutting photos or ownership papers. Instead, she stepped aside, pulled out her phone, and made one call. I'm at Lexington Grand, she said simply. Denied access to my own property. Please resolve. She ended the call after 26 seconds. No raised voice. No need. At the desk, the receptionist was nervously typing again. Neil returned, folder in hand, sweating slightly. Miss Thornton, he said, emphasizing her last name now. I believe there's been a misunderstanding. We're just verifying. Verify all you want, Camille interrupted softly. But I'm not moving. The staff hovered between fear and indecision. Guests stared. The doorman had stopped greeting newcomers. Camille noticed the receptionist subtly checking her phone under the desk, likely Googling her name. Searching for confirmation she didn't expect to find. Camille remembered being 28 in a Milwaukee hotel, just made VP, wearing ill-fitting heels and a blazer 2 sizes too big. Security had tailed her then, too. Only the CFO's timely arrival had saved her from embarrassment. Now, 20 years later, she stood in a lobby with her name on the building, still proving her place. The elevator dinged. Two men stepped out, walking with purpose. Camille recognized them immediately. Regional VP Brent Maddox and District Manager Jorge Ruiz. Miss Thornton, Brent began, breathless, so sorry. We just got the call. Suite 1202 has been cleared, Jorge added, tablet in hand. Your driver's been rerouted. Fruit tray and espresso will be waiting. Camille gave a faint smile. But she wasn't done. She watched. She observed the shifting expressions, the posture changes. She wanted to see what respect looked like after recognition. Brent whispered something to Neil. Jorge spoke to the receptionist in a low, firm tone. Camille returned to the desk. I'll take the suite. Same setup. Please send someone to confirm it's clean. The receptionist tried to speak, but couldn't. Camille turned to Brent. Am I checked in? Just completed, he replied. You'll have 2 keys and an incident report. And the rest. Site-wide notification. Corporate audit on standby. All staff undergoing retraining starting tonight. Camille glanced at the receptionist. Her smirk was gone. Her nails tapped against the counter with nervous precision. Speak to her, Camille said. Yes, ma'am. With HR. I'll speak to her too. Not now. After I've rested. She took her keys and walked to the elevator. Conversations halted. Heads turned. But no one spoke. On the 12th floor, her suite smelled of eucalyptus and lemon. Her fruit tray and espresso were waiting. A handwritten note sat on the table, rushed but thoughtful. She walked the space, absorbing it. Not for luxury, for intent. This hotel wasn't just a business. It was her story. She remembered pitching banks who scoffed, who offered cutthroat loan terms, who didn't believe a black woman could lead a luxury brand. She'd proven them wrong. Her phone buzzed. A message from her assistant, all in motion. Do you want a press statement? She paused. One tweet, and it would go viral. One interview, and the narrative would be everywhere. But Camille didn't want revenge. She wanted respect. A knock at the door. A young man brought espresso and an apology note from the kitchen manager, along with a complimentary offer of massage therapy. She thanked him, then sat, sipping her drink, watching the city flicker below. At 6:30 a.m., Camille descended in a charcoal suit, ivory blouse, and polished heels. The lobby shifted around her. Conversations ceased. Brent and Jorge stood waiting, coffees in hand, untouched. They followed her to the executive conference room, where Neil, the receptionist, Kayla Mendez, and HR rep Monica sat. Camille stood. Would someone like to explain what happened last night? Kayla looked down. Neil was silent. I didn't expect, Kayla started. Didn't expect someone like me to own the building. Camille finished. Was I rude? Did I raise my voice? Threaten anyone? Kayla shook her head each time. Camille turned to HR. I don't want a firing squad. I want accountability. Jorge added, formal write-up. Removed from front desk. Neil under review. Good, Camille said. She looked at Kayla. How long had you worked here? For months. Ever wonder who built this place? Kayla hesitated. Assumed it was some company. I've built 17 hotels. From Baltimore to Phoenix. I built this brand so people wouldn't be treated like shadows. And yet here I am, still invisible in my own lobby. She let it sink in. Mandatory inclusivity training begins this week, Brent said. Make it real, Camille replied. No me scripts. Teach respect when no one's watching. The meeting ended. Later that morning, Camille found Kayla alone in the staff lounge. No audience. Just a half-eaten muffin. Relax, Camille said, taking a seat. I just want to talk. Yes, ma'am. Drop the ma'am. This isn't a hearing. They sat quietly before Camille asked, Ever worked somewhere you felt small? Yeah, most of the time. Camille nodded. So help me understand how you looked at me and decided I didn't belong. Kayla's voice cracked. I don't know. I just didn't expect someone who looked like you to own hotels. What does that person look like? Kayla couldn't answer. That picture in your head, it shapes behavior. I'm not here for an apology. I want you to see me. As a person. I started as a receptionist too. Got mistaken for janitorial staff. Called sweetheart. And I still built this. Kayla blinked. You started as a receptionist? In St. Paul. My boss said I sounded too educated. Moved me to night audit. That was the beginning. Camille stood. Start with dignity. Every guest. Always. By mid-morning, the hotel hummed. But the office was different. Brent stood at the window. Jorge drafted a memo. Monica revised onboarding. Camille read staff reports. I'm not here to punish. I'm here to prevent repetition. Interview process is changing, Jorge said. Bias evaluations included. Good. Add me to the rotation next quarter. I'll visit properties. Unannounced. Brent raised a brow. Like a secret guest? Not secret, just anonymous. That'll rattle folks. Let it. She left the office, paused at the reception desk, where a new agent offered a respectful nod. She returned it. Upstairs, her bag was packed. Laptop charged. On the nightstand sat a note. Miss Thornton, thank you for your grace. I'll be better. Kayla. Simple. Handwritten. Honest. Camille tucked it into her purse. The doorman opened the door. Safe travels, Miss Thornton. Hope to see you again. You will, she said. In the car, Camille held the note. She didn't reread it, just held it. Outside, the world continued. Brick buildings, gas stations, signs for bakeries. She hadn't planned to be here, but maybe she needed to be. Not for business, for the lesson. Because this wasn't rare. This wasn't surprising. It was tiring. Tiring how often worth gets measured by assumption. How fast people categorize without question. And yet, Camille didn't carry bitterness. She carried memory. And memory, when used right, was power. As the airport neared, she thought of her younger self. Night shifts. Cheap flats. No recognition, just determination. She built this. But buildings weren't enough. Because even now, with 17 properties, some still saw less. So what do? You see yourself clearly. And walk like the door was always yours. Camille exited the car, entered the terminal. Quiet but sure. No more proving. No more permission. Only presence. And if anyone watching had ever felt unseen, unheard, or undeserving, Camille had one thing to say. You don't need to shout to be heard. Just know who you are and walk like it. Every single time.